Welcome to part 7 of 10 in the series from my graduate course, Research Methods and Communication. In this video, we dive into the conclusion section of a scientific article, a key component in presenting your research with clarity and impact. This series is designed to empower you with a deeper understanding of scientific writing, so you can communicate your work effectively. For a comprehensive mastery of this skill, I encourage you to explore the other sections available on my YouTube channel. Let's strengthen your scientific writing together. The conclusion section of a scientific paper serves as the final summarizing statement where the main findings and their implications are distilled. This section is critical as it reinforces the significance of the research and leaves a clear impression of what was achieved and why it matters. Its primary role is to provide closure by summarizing the research findings and reinforcing the core message of the study. The conclusion ensures that the reader walks away with a clear understanding of the main points discussed, as well as the overall contributions made by the research. This section also restates the central thesis or research question to refocus the reader's attention on the original purpose of the study. Beyond simply summarizing, the conclusion emphasizes the broader significance of the research. It provides the author with the opportunity to explain why their findings are important, both within the academic field and relevant in practical applications. For instance, the conclusion can discuss how the study fills gaps in the literature, challenges existing theories, or introduces new methodologies. Moreover, the conclusion often addresses the limitations of the study, offering transparency about factors that may have affected the results. By doing so, it helps frame the findings in an honest and realistic manner. This reflection on limitations can also lead to suggestions for future research, guiding others to explore unresolved questions or new avenues of investigation. In short, the conclusion not only ties the article together but also outlines the implications of the research, providing a roadmap for further academic inquiry. Below is a summary of the purpose of the conclusion. Summarization of key points. The conclusion's primary role is to succinctly restate the main points of the article. By summarizing the essential arguments, findings, or results, it ensures the reader retains the core message. This allows the reader to quickly reflect on the main ideas without needing to revisit the entire article. A well-structured conclusion should remind the audience of the most critical aspects of the article in a concise and focused manner. Synthesis of ideas. In addition to summarizing, the conclusion should integrate the article's points into a broader context. It demonstrates how the findings or arguments presented throughout the piece connect and relate to each other. This synthesis reinforces the overall narrative and shows how the individual elements fit together to create a coherent argument or body of work. It moves beyond mere repetition, helping readers see the big picture of the article's contributions. Final impression. The conclusion is the last chance to leave a lasting impression on the reader. A strong conclusion ensures the reader walks away with a clear understanding of the article's importance. Whether it is a research paper or an argument-based piece, the conclusion offers a sense of closure. It is important for the writer to make the final thoughts memorable and impactful, so the audience remembers the work long after finishing the article. Implications or recommendations. For research-based or academic articles, the conclusion often addresses the broader implications of the findings. It may suggest how the results can be applied in real-world settings, influence policy, or contribute to academic discourse. In some cases, the conclusion may also provide specific recommendations for practice, policy, or further research. This section highlights the practical or theoretical importance of the work, showing the reader why it matters beyond the confines of the article. Suggests future research. Often, the conclusion identifies areas where further research is needed. This could involve questions that arose during the study or gaps in the existing literature that the research was unable to address. By suggesting future research, the conclusion encourages the continuation of scholarly exploration on the topic. Closing thoughts. The conclusion can also offer closing reflections that encourage the reader to think further about the topic. This could include highlighting ongoing debates, posing reflective questions, or presenting future possibilities. These final thoughts create a lasting connection with the reader, giving them something to ponder after finishing the article. It also ensures the writer's voice continues to resonate, emphasizing the overall purpose of the work. Each of these functions contributes to a well-rounded conclusion, ensuring the reader leaves with a clear, thoughtful understanding of the article's key messages and broader significance. An effective conclusion incorporates several key elements, each serving a distinct purpose in wrapping up the article. The first essential element is the restatement of the research problem or thesis. This ensures that the reader is reminded of the central focus of the article. However, this restatement should be concise and not a mere repetition of the introduction as shown in the end. Here is the key element to take into consideration: restatement of theses or main findings. The first key element of a conclusion is to restate the thesis or main argument of the article in a condensed form. This restatement ensures that the reader is reminded of the central theme or purpose of the article without the need to sift through earlier sections. For a research article, this may involve summarizing the key findings or results. In an argumentative piece, this involves reiterating the primary claim or position that the article has supported. This restatement should be concise, focusing on the core of what the article has presented without duplicating the exact wording used earlier. Its role is to refocus the reader on the central idea before moving into reflections or broader implications. Significance and impact. After restating the main points, it's crucial to address the significance of the findings or arguments. This element highlights why the work matters and how it contributes to the field or addresses an important issue. The significance should explain the practical, theoretical, or academic value of the research or argument. It answers the question, why should the reader care? A well-written conclusion emphasizes the contribution that the work makes to its discipline, problem area, or broader context. For example, in research, this may include how the findings fill a gap in knowledge, solve a practical issue, or open new avenues for future exploration. Broader implications. The conclusion often goes beyond just summarizing what was done in the article to consider the broader implications of the findings. This involves discussing how the work may influence future research, policy, industry practice, or even societal change. The broader implications demonstrate the potential impact or applications of the research or argument, making it relevant to a wider audience. For example, if the research focuses on environmental sustainability, the conclusion could discuss how the findings might affect policy development or industrial practices in the future. It places the article in a larger context and highlights its real-world significance. Limitations and future directions. A critical part of many conclusions, especially in academic and scientific papers, is acknowledging the limitations of the study. Recognizing these limitations demonstrates the researcher's understanding of the study's constraints, such as sample size, methodological limitations, or specific conditions that may limit the generalizability of the findings. This element also allows for humility in the conclusions drawn, showing an understanding that no study or argument is without its boundaries. Along with limitations, it is essential to suggest future research directions. This shows that while the study or argument has made important contributions, more work is needed to fully understand or address the issue. It encourages other researchers to explore these areas further. Final statement. The final statement is the concluding sentence or paragraph of the article, often designed to leave a lasting impression on the reader. It should be powerful and thought-provoking, giving the reader something to reflect on. This could involve a call to action, a bold assertion, or a reflective question that ties back to the overall theme of the article. The final statement is typically concise, yet impactful, ensuring that the article closes on a strong note. It aims to resonate with the reader even after they've finished the article, leaving them with a clear sense of the article's importance or call for further thought or action. The writing style of the conclusion should be formal, clear, and concise. The primary goal is to summarize the research findings without overwhelming the reader with excessive detail. While the conclusion reflects on the body of the article, it should not repeat entire sections verbatim. Instead, it should distill the key points and provide a synthesis that links the evidence back to the central thesis or research question. Avoiding repetition ensures that the conclusion remains engaging and focused. Please pay more attention to conciseness. One of the most important aspects of writing a conclusion is maintaining brevity. The conclusion should be concise, delivering the key points in a clear and efficient manner. Since this section serves as a summary and closure, it's not the place to elaborate on new ideas or repeat information verbatim. Instead, it should focus on distilling the essence of the article into a few powerful sentences. Writers should aim to avoid unnecessary repetition or redundant phrasing, ensuring that every word serves a purpose in reinforcing the article's key message. Clarity. Clarity is critical in a conclusion because it ensures the reader walks away with a definitive understanding of the article's message. The language used should be straightforward, avoiding overly complex terminology unless absolutely necessary. The conclusion must be accessible and understandable, especially since it summarizes the work and its implications. Clear writing also involves structuring sentences logically, ensuring that the ideas flow naturally. The goal is to leave the reader with a strong, clear takeaway without confusion or ambiguity. Consistency: the conclusion should align with the tone, structure, and arguments presented throughout the article. Maintaining consistency in language and tone helps the conclusion feel connected to the rest of the article. For example, if the article maintains a formal academic tone, the conclusion should reflect that. If the article has a more persuasive or emotive style, this should carry through to the final paragraphs. Consistency also involves staying true to the main argument or thesis and avoiding a shift in perspective or new claims that were not addressed earlier in the article. Reflective tone: while maintaining conciseness and clarity, a conclusion often adopts a reflective tone. This allows the writer to step back from the details of the article and offer broader insights or reflections. A reflective tone encourages the reader to consider the larger significance of the work, engaging them in further thought. This tone is appropriate when discussing implications, broader impacts, or future directions. It helps transition the reader from the specific content of the article to more general themes or considerations. No new information. A key guideline for writing conclusions is to avoid introducing any new information, data, or arguments. The conclusion is meant to summarize and close the discussion, not extend it. Introducing new information can confuse readers and leave the article feeling incomplete or unresolved. Instead, the conclusion should rely on information already presented, weaving it together to reinforce the central points of the article. This ensures that the article ends with a sense of completeness and finality. Actionable recommendations, if applicable. In cases where the article discusses practical or policy-related matters, the conclusion may include actionable recommendations. These should be clear and achievable, guiding the reader towards specific next steps. For example, in a research paper, the conclusion might suggest areas for further investigation or specific changes to industry practices. These recommendations should be directly tied to the article's findings and not feel like an afterthought. The purpose is to ensure that the reader has a concrete understanding of how the information can be applied or built upon. Link to introduction. Tying the conclusion back to the introduction creates a sense of unity and closure. This can be done by revisiting the original research question, thesis, or problem statement, showing how the article has addressed or answered these points. This circular structure helps the reader feel that the article has come full circle, providing closure and reinforcing the central argument. It also provides an opportunity to show how the article has contributed to answering the initial question or advancing the discussion. Final impact statement. A strong conclusion often includes a final impact statement designed to leave a lasting impression on the reader. This might be a call to action, a thought-provoking question, or a powerful closing thought that emphasizes the article's overall message. The impact statement should be concise and carefully crafted to resonate with the reader. Its purpose is to ensure the conclusion doesn't end abruptly, but instead leaves the reader with a clear sense of why the article matters and how it should influence their thinking, actions, or future research. Balanced tone. While the conclusion should aim to be strong and impactful, it should also maintain balance. This means not over-exaggerating the significance of the findings or using overly dramatic language. The tone should remain confident and grounded in the evidence or arguments presented throughout the article. Writers should avoid making sweeping generalizations or unsupported claims in an attempt to leave a more dramatic impact. Instead, the conclusion should reflect a thoughtful, balanced understanding of the material, leaving the reader with a realistic but meaningful takeaway. These guidelines ensure that the conclusion is not only well-written but also effective in providing closure and reinforcing the article's key message. The writing style should be clear, concise, and consistent, while also leaving a lasting impression on the reader through thoughtful reflections and impactful statements. To gain a deeper understanding of this section, reviewing the provided sample will offer valuable insights and clarify how the concepts are applied in practice. Here is an example. In conclusion, the findings of this study underscore the critical role of sustainable engineering practices in mitigating the adverse effects of industrial processes on the environment. By implementing green technology, industries can not only reduce their carbon footprint but also drive innovation in resource efficiency and waste management. While the research highlights several promising approaches, future studies should further investigate the long-term economic impacts of these technologies to ensure their feasibility on a larger scale. Ultimately, a collaborative effort between engineers, policymakers, and industry leaders is essential to creating a more sustainable future. As we move forward, adopting these practices will not only benefit the planet but also future generations who will depend on a healthier, more resilient world. Why this is a good conclusion restates the key findings clearly. The conclusion begins by summarizing the main findings, specifically emphasizing the importance of sustainable engineering practices in reducing environmental harm. It concisely reinforces the central message of the article without unnecessary repetition. Highlights broader implications. The mention of green technology and its ability to drive innovation in resource efficiency and waste management connects the findings to broader issues, demonstrating the relevance and potential impact of the research on industry and society at large. Acknowledges limitations in future research. The sentence that mentions future studies should further investigate the long-term economic impacts, addresses the limitations of the current research, acknowledging that there is still more work to be done. This adds credibility to the study by showing that the author recognizes its boundaries and suggests a path forward, offers a call for action. The call for a collaborative effort between engineers, policymakers, and industry leaders gives the reader a clear sense of what should happen next. It encourages action and highlights the interdisciplinary approach needed to solve complex problems like environmental sustainability. Ends with a strong reflective statement. The final sentence leaves the reader with a thought-provoking reflection on the importance of sustainability for future generations. It connects the research to a broader moral and social obligation, making the conclusion memorable and impactful. Concise and clear, the language used is straightforward, avoiding unnecessary jargon while still being sophisticated enough for a professional or academic audience. Each sentence is purposeful and contributes to the overall takeaway of the article. Maintains consistency with the article. The tone and focus of the conclusion are consistent with the rest of the article, reflecting its academic nature while also addressing the practical and societal implications of the research. This consistency ensures that the conclusion feels cohesive with the article's main body. This example is effective because it is concise yet comprehensive, connects the specific findings of the research to broader issues, acknowledges limitations, and leaves the reader with a clear understanding of the significance of the research and its real-world applications. The call to action and the reflective tone at the end further enhance its impact. The conclusion section of the scientific article has been thoroughly explained, providing a comprehensive overview of its purpose, key elements, and writing style. In the next section, I will present the references cited throughout the article, offering a detailed list of the sources that inform the research and analysis. Thank you very much for thoroughly watching the conclusion sections of Anatomy of Academic Article. To deepen your understanding, I highly encourage you to watch the next video titled Anatomy of an Academic Article, Reference. This video provides a detailed overview of the key components essential to understanding the reference section of academic article. Your engagement is appreciated, and I hope you find this video both informative and beneficial.